Another day, another FPL vid. Jack, what's on the menu for today?
Josh, good to be here. What have we got for the fans today? We have got 8 golden rules for FPL. All right. So these are going to be 8 rules we're going to go through that are eternal, they're evergreen, they are immortal, applicable, universal rules that you can apply at any season, at any given time. And if you follow these rules, then you're going to do well. I think that's a fair summary, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a big promise, but that's the promise we're making. If you do
Yeah.
follow these rules, these golden rules, then you're gonna do well. Because the people that don't follow them, they're not gonna do well.
No, hey, I'm backing us. I'm backing us with these rules that if you follow them, you're going to have a good rank. I think
Confidence.
these are, we're seasoned veterans at this, Josh, aren't we? We're not amazing players, but we're seasoned, hardened, average vets and we know these rules, don't we? And these rules have emerged out of our experience. And for me, anyway, when I've been weak in the past and deviated from these rules, trying to be clever, 9 times out of 10, it's burned me. So the challenge is sticking with these rules is the challenge of FPL.
Yeah, stoically just sticking to them no matter what else has been thrown at you. But I was
Yeah,
smiling through that because, yeah, from our years of playing this game and experience, it's just we can just give the benefit of our mistakes, basically, can't we? All the
that's
things
why
we've
we're
done
here.
wrong.
Learn
Right.
from us. We're passing on the knowledge we've gained from our pain. So lovely. So let's jump right in, Josh. Let's
Let's
jump
do it.
right in. We'll go in tandem. You say a rule, we'll discuss it. I'll say a rule, we'll discuss it. So you kick us off. What's the first golden rule?
Make your transfers post conferences, and I'm going to talk about the press conferences that managers do, which is typically the day before the games that are going to be played, or the start of the game week, I should say. Sorry, but sometimes because of European games or whatever else, they're made a couple of days before, a few days before. But they give you the info about injuries or hints and just confirmation of things, rumors that are flying around. So just it's best to wait, and the only reason not to do that is to be a price rise I can think of. But any reason why you would disagree with this, Jack, and any other reasons apart from the price rise why you would deviate from it?
Yeah, it's a no-brainer, isn't it? It's a no-brainer. Yeah, the price rise is a good caveat because that's like, and even with that, I would say, do you need to make that one move on a Monday instead of a Friday? Is there another move you can do that you can afford? Because it really does kill you if an injury can happen in training. There could just be a random droppage for no reason that a manager then tells us about, or one of your other players could get injured. So it's not just if you've got a transfer in mind and you're like, yes, I'm dead set, and you make that transfer on the Monday, then it's not just that player you brought in that you're looking out for news for. It's your entire 15-man squad, because if any of them gets injured, then that's the transfer you should have made. But yeah, it's a no-brainer, and it's a no-brainer. And why is this hard to follow? Which I think we should do for all these rules, like say why it can be tricky, challenging. It's because of temptation, isn't it? You just, when you have that move in mind, you just want to make it, don't you? It's so annoying. You're sitting bored at work, hovering over that transfer button. You've made the transfer early, like in the staging area, and it looks great. You just want to press confirm, but you shouldn't. And that, I find that really hard.
Yeah, like you're sat on YouTube watching Sam Maximan's best skill compilation, and that he's just that forbidden fruit. You're like, I know, I'm going to pull the trigger on him on a Monday, as you said, and it's just wait,
Just wait.
continue watching your compilations by all means, enjoy them, but
Yeah.
don't pull the trigger on that transfer.
No, don't do it. Yeah. It's fight the itchy trigger finger. And I find that a challenge. But yeah, good one to kick off with. Simple, easier to understand why it's really good. Golden rule, good. All right, number 2, we've got don't put money on your bench. So what does this mean? This means spend your money on your starting 11 players. So I think it's when you click on a random person's team, the number one giveaway that they either haven't played FPL before or they're rubbish at it is they've got a squad of 15 decent players. They've got Mason Mount on the bench. They've got players at 7.5 mil 9.5 mil on the bench. They've got 2 6.5 goalkeepers, one on the bench. You know, that's a telltale sign that they don't know what they're doing. You need your money in your starting 11. Do you agree, Josh?
Completely. I mean, that's the whole enabler thing, right? You know,
Yeah.
you're getting good valued budget players that are going to get you some sneaky points. Hopefully, as well, they're playing for teams that have complementary kind of fixture difficulty to your other players, so they can step in where needed, where it's like really, 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 really needed. But you don't have enough money to get all the players. You want the big ones, so you got to kind of squeeze that out of everywhere you can, and that comes out of the bench.
Yeah, you're never going to use your third or even second spot on the bench, really. So what you ideally want is 4 to 4.5 fodder that if in an emergency, they'll come on and get you 2 points and anything else a bonus. So you want starting 4.5 mil players on the bench. For a keeper, you want a 4 mil starting keeper or the backup keeper to your starting keeper in that same squad. But yeah, easy rule again to make, and you'll love yourself for making it because you'll find you've got loads of more money to spend on your starting 11.
And let's do the temptation exercise. What's the temptation here, Jack? Why would you want to spend money on your bench?
Well, it's great seeing all the big names on your bench, isn't it? You feel great that Mason Mount's on your bench. You feel great that you've got, you know, an Ollie Watkins on your bench to come on. Like you're in the mindset of it's a real team and a real squad when you do stuff like that, and because it looks great on the screen, but it's just a disaster. It's like when you see, we haven't got this rule, but it's like when you see someone pick like a 4-4-2 with 2 wingers, a defensive mid, and like a number 8 or whatever, and then a big man and a little guy up top because the team looks good, or 2 full backs and 2 centre backs. It's just like you're not playing for this 11 to win a game. But very tempting to do.
Yeah, this isn't Football Manager. This is not Football Manager.
It's fantasy. It's complete fantasy. Good. All right. What's number 3, Josh?
Number 3 is pick forwards, or have a short list of forwards that you want to pick based on individual stats like XG. So attacking players should be picked on form and individual stats. And that means like not team stats. So like this team's amazing and scores loads of goals. Their striker, whoever it may be, has to be amazing. Not always the case. Yeah. Would you agree with that?
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'd extend that to all players because, yeah, it's kind of irrelevant how good the team is, like you say. I guess with defenders, you want that collective clean sheet. You're right. So maybe it applies a bit less to defenders. But yeah, if there's a rubbish team, it works well. The converse works well as well. So like, look at Harry Kane. So at times Spurs have been awful over the last 5-10 years, but Kane has just always looked incredible XG wise. Even when Spurs are playing terribly, he gets goals. So it's irrelevant how good Spurs are. It's how good Kane is. And yeah, like you said, in a great team like a Man City, we know they're amazing, but a Bernardo Silva often isn't the best pick because of how much they share the goals.
Yeah, and then, as you said, in seasons past, you could rank a certain month or whatever by XG, and it would be a City player, but you don't know if they're going to play the next game. And I think it's the case that that these individual stats are what you want in the attacking sense, isn't it? Because although it's great to have the great team with the great individual, the people that are going to influence the game, get assists, get goals, often it's because of their individual brilliance. So
yeah, and equally another kind of point wrapped up in that one is the fixture thing, where if you see, like you say, Rashford has got he's got Arsenal, Chelsea, and Man City in the next 3, it doesn't matter. Like the stats show that doesn't matter with forwards. Like if they're on fire, they're likely to score regardless of the fixture, which is it's kind of counterintuitive, but we did another video on that, didn't we? That showed actually with forwards, fixtures are irrelevant to their form, which was interesting. You put some good examples. So this season we're recording in Trossard, he was on fire for Brighton. He then had a run of, I think, those 3 fixtures, and he scored in all of them. Scored a hat-trick against Liverpool. So, yeah, don't be put off by fixtures by your, certainly not by your attackers.
Exactly. And then the the temptation part there. We kind of covered it in the explanation, but it is that case of looking at the team, isn't it? Or looking at all the players that a team may have and being like, oh, well, they're a great option because the team overall is great. But yeah, just go with those attackers based on individual stats. That's the point.
Good. Very nice.
Number 4, Jack, this one's yours.
Yeah, number 4, an obvious one, but I touched on it in the last point, which I shouldn't have, because it spoils this one. But don't pick defensive or box-to-box mids, so midfielders. So again, the beginner temptation is to make that balanced team with a Kante in there, or a Henderson or a Fabinho. Just ignore them. Your midfielders, and I'd stretch this one to say, try and get strikers in the midfielder spots. Like get your Rashfords and your Salahs and your Manes when he was in, like those like that when your Aubameyang was a midfielder. Like try and pick for your midfielders need to be wingers or strikers, I would say, in FPL these days, because of the way teams are set up with the 3 attackers normally. 2 out of those 3 are often classified as midfielders. Put them in your team and ignore the central midfielders.
Exactly. And there are a couple of players that go through a little, great patch of form, like Souček in the past, he did it, didn't it?
Yeah.
Milivojevic, when you go even further back, because he was on pens, would offer a little bit more. But I don't think a player like that exists.
Yeah, you get the odd, you're right, you get the odd Jorginho, Milivojevic who do it. But yeah, and back in the day, the Gerrard and Lampards, but you're right, it just doesn't feel... it just doesn't feel like there's so many wingers that are good. Even even you got this year, you got the Matomas and people like even cheap ones who are better than those penalty taking deeper mids. So yeah, think like you wish every player was a striker in your team and try and conform to that striker mold in every position, even with your wing backs, with your centre backs. If any, look for those misclassified players and ignore the kind of entire team structure of your team.
Yeah, like it. Completely agree with that one.
Nice. All right, number 5, Josh, what is it?
It's the kind of yin to the last one's yang. It's the other side. So pick defenders with the mind of looking at team stats. So not solely, obviously, there are defenders that offer unique extra things like Trent, whatever. But as a baseline, team stats like XGA plus their individual stats is where you should be looking at. So because clean sheets are so big for defenders, that is so much reliant on the team as a whole, not even the defense, but the midfield and the strategy and the tactics that they play. So you have to look at the team stats for defensive potential points.
Yeah. Like you say, it's the sort of inverse to the last one for defenders, like we touched on. So XGA is huge, isn't it? It's kind of shots conceded in the box, big chances conceded, those kinds of stats that will show you, is Tarkowski going to concede a lot more than a Dan Burn is going to concede? And then, couple that up with what's Tarkowski's XG or what's Dan Burn's XG threat from a corner and make a kind of molded view of both of those when you pick defenders. Yeah.
And I guess the same thing of generally the picking at defenders, when you said the box to box or defensive minded midfielders, you want your kind of attacking fullbacks, don't you? Or wing backs even when you're going defenders.
Yeah, ideally you've got 3 fullbacks as your 3 defenders.
Yeah.
Most of the time. There are exceptions, aren't there, with some centre backs seem to score loads of goals, but it's often a Luke Shaw, a Trippier, a Trent, a Robertson, those players that should be packing out your back line.
Good. Nice. And then number 6, we're flying through it, Jack. What's number 6? This is your...
All right. So this could be a controversial one. I think this is the most controversial one here, but Perma captain is the way forward. So we did a video, Josh, not long ago that looked at, okay, are we better off in this season that we're in, for instance, perma capping the best player? So this season, Haaland, or would you be better off trying to guess who will be the highest scoring player based on fixtures and trying to be a bit cute and smart with it? And we looked at a load of stats previous seasons too, and we just found that you're just better off captaining the popular, boring pick every week, regardless. And the game week we're in right now that we're recording is a good example, because it's a game week where Liverpool and Arsenal have double game weeks. Haaland doesn't. Most people have gone with a Saka or a Salah. They both blanked in their first games, and Haaland got a goal and an assist in his single week. So yes, of course, there will be times when that doesn't happen, and there'll be players outscoring Haaland each week. But the fact is, you're not good enough in your brain to guess when those will be. So you're better off in the long haul captaining Haaland. And did we captain Haaland this week, Josh? No, we didn't, even though we knew that rule.
We did
so
not.
It shows we're idiots as well. But the reality is, you're just better off doing it every week, which can be really, really hard to do when you think you've got this golden nugget player that you've spotted with the double game week, and Haaland's got like a medium fixture. But it's just, what we found in that video was, look for your differentials elsewhere from captain. Don't do it on the captaincy.
Yeah, I mean, I would urge anyone to watch that vid, because that was massive for me when you crunch the numbers. I didn't think it would be so telling how beneficial it is to just go with the perma cap. It is just almost a no-brainer. I know we've gone against it now. Later in the season, when you're trying to gain rank or go up your mini league, yeah, you may have to take some risks, but this is a golden rule to stick to the majority of the time, isn't it? And the perma cap is that.
Yeah. I mean, don't be put off. It's hard for a lot of reasons, isn't it? Because when you know everyone's captaining him, it just seems so unsexy and boring to go with it. And so that's part of the temptation of going different. Is, what if he blanks and Rashford bangs and I've captained Rashford, or everyone will think I'm a genius. But more often than not, that backfires. And I mean, I've felt it this season. I tried to be clever this season. I didn't even bring Haaland in till game week 7. And I've just been playing catch up ever since. And it's been as soon as I brought him in, my rank started rising. Shock horror, despite everyone having him. So that showed that I essentially I fixed the leak in my team by bringing him in, and rose to the ranks because I had differentials elsewhere and he wasn't hurting me anymore. So look at it that way. That's sort of what I did. A lesson learned after 6 painful game weeks. But there we are. Nice.
Wish you kept him out. Wish
I had. My enemies wish I had. Yeah. Where I'd be if I'd had him from the start. I don't want to think about it. Josh, what's number 7?
Number 7, a topic that is covered in another one of our videos, but take hits coupled with kind of don't roll transfers. So these are 2 things, but we can kind of put them together here. They are distinctly 2 topics, but the bottom line is, don't stand still. Live by the sword, die by the sword. It's how you're going to do well in FPL. You got to take kind of calculated risks, and if you try and roll and not play on the front foot, you're just going to be bleeding rank.
Yeah. So again, I love this one again, because it is kind of counterintuitive. Because again, before we did that video, if you'd asked me and you, I think, are hits a good idea? I'd have said no, and you're better off playing the long game, playing conservatively, not taking hits each week, and just gradually getting better. But again, what we found is you're much better off, especially in the early season, playing aggressively, taking hits, not rolling your transfers. So you got 2 the next week, and just going all out aggressive, because the reason it's good early in the season is those early decisions compound later on. So if you take a hit one week to bring in 2 players, the next week you're looking for another better transfer, whereas the person who's waited is making the one you made 2 weeks ago. So you're ahead of the game. You've got all these good players in your team already, and it just compounds week on week on week on week on week. I guess the closer you get to game week 38, the less value a hit is to you, because it's to get that -4 back, you've got fewer game weeks to do it. But even then, it's good because you're getting the right players in, team value's increasing, etc., etc., etc. And you're not getting priced out of players. So yeah, that was a good one, because that video genuinely changed the way I played it with hits. And I just felt I didn't feel bad about taking a hit. And some of my best game weeks this week have been when I've taken a hit.
Open the floodgates, hits everywhere. Love it. Yeah, that's a
Nice.
good point. And it's just fun, isn't it? It's fun.
It is
Like,
fun. Yeah,
making
it's so
changes,
not
like,
fun when you roll a transfer, is it? It's just
boring.
feel like you feel crap. But yeah. So why am I bothered? Am I even playing this game? Is it playing, doing nothing? But yeah, be active.
And number 8, we're on to number 8 God of War already, Jack.
Nice.
What is it?
We're done. So it's a really important one. Plan your chip strategy around the doubles and the blank game weeks. So this is huge. So this is when it, again, another telltale sign of someone who's early playing FPL, not taking it seriously. They bench boost on game week 2. They free hit because they didn't have a good week the previous week and they just fancied it. They bench boost on a single game week. Like lazy chip strategy is such a sign of a casual player, isn't it? And fair play, if you want to do it, if you want to be a casual, if you want to be rubbish, then you can. But it really pays off later on in the season. You feel so good when that blank game week comes along, game week 32, and people in your mini league haven't got the free hit and you free hit, and they're playing 3 players and you've got a team of 11 and you trounce them. So that's a good example, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm smiling because we have a friend that actually this year triple captain Salah, I think it was in game week 1, wasn't it? And that did not go well. So but yeah, I think it's that thing, is it's almost like the next level of the game. I see like chip strategy as like almost like the pro game. It's like on hard mode because there are enough things to focus on like week to week. But when you introduce like trying to strategize to that level, especially when you get into like the last third of the season, when there's blanks and doubles being thrown at you and you see like the cup rounds go through and you're trying to figure out which players to have, and in addition to that, it is like another layer of the game, which is great. Love the game.
Yeah, it is good. And it can be, it's hard. The chip strategy is hard for a lot of reasons, I think, because one, it's easy early in the season to like value a player. A mistake I think a lot of people make is they value today's points more than the points they're going to get in 10 game weeks time. So like getting points now and ahead of people in your mini league now is more important than the points later on, which is just a fallacy, isn't it? It's completely irrelevant because the points you get in game week 32 are just as valuable as the points you get in game week 2. So, but it's hard to think in the future like that, isn't it? You want it now. Give me it now. When it would be better to play it in a 32 when it's a blank. So that's one reason it's hard. And another reason it's hard is it's just a headache to watch. So I've got to play my wild card, then my bench boost, then the free hit, then this. Like they often happen in tandem like that. And it's just like, wait, so Brighton have got a blank, then a double, then a blank. Like it's just a massive headache that a lot of players, fair enough, you don't want to worry about. So you just play it week to week and deal with the problems with hits and things, which is valid. And yeah, but I like you, Josh. I like it because it's such a passive game anyway. That really brings some activity into it, doesn't it? When you have to plan those things, and when it pays off, it's a good feeling.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, it's a lot to just try and figure out yourself. So lean heavily into those like resources and tools. And we did another video about which are our favorite, and a lot of them are focused around like which ones that give you one up on the chip strategy, like the Ben Crellins of the world and stuff, because it's massive. So check that out as well. Lean into those resources and they'll help you out massively.
Yeah, fantastic. Good. Well, that was quick. That was good.
That was lightning. I mean,
do you want to just recap them all, Josh, for us?
Yeah. So off the top, we've got transfers post conferences. So wait for those conferences to make your transfers. And then next, should I just go through them? I'll read. Okay.
Yeah, do it.
Number 2, don't put money on your bench. That would be silly of you. Number 3, pick forwards based on individual stats. So their own individual XG, not team stats overall. Number 4, do not pick defenses or box-to-box midfielders. Sorry, Kante, you're staying on my team. Number 5, pick defenders based on team stats as a baseline, and then add all the individual stuff on top of that. But team stats first. 6, the perma cap. This is massive. One we didn't listen to this week, Jack, and it's looking like it's going to burn us. That's huge. Perma cap. Number 7, take hits, don't roll. That is basically, stay on the front foot, have fun, folks. And number 8, plan chip strategy. It's huge.
Love it, Josh. Well done. Well recapped. The video should just be you saying those things, really. 20-second vid and we're done. Don't need us rambling around them.
Snip that, put it at the front, and then be like, here's it explained.
Nice. But yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This will just be on YouTube, I think. So give it a like. That's great. We love a like. Please do like us. We want to be liked. So yeah, and we'll be back again for more sort of these evergreen general topics. So whatever game week you're in, whatever year you're in, I hope you're having a good one.
Yeah, love it, Jack. I was just going to let you talk about how we love to be liked, because that's very true. But
desperate to be liked.
Desperate to be liked. But yeah, hope you liked it, and see you soon.
Lovely. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.